When you look at the kanji for big, first think of a person making a really big body shape. Picture a person standing with the legs wide open and doing a star jump like that. And this is the picture from which we derive the kanji for big. And kanji looks like this. Trace with me. 1, 2, 3. This kanji simply represents big. But to spell the vocabulary big, we need a few more okurigana. Now, okurigana are literally just another word for hiragana, except that they form part of the kanji vocabulary. So the word for big is oki. So we need o, which is represented by the kanji, and then we spell ki with hiragana. Repeat after me. Oki, oki, big. Now, how about the kanji for small? Small is the opposite of the star jump. The person has finished the jumping, is now standing still with the arms by the side. And from this picture, we derive the kanji for small. Trace with me. 1, 2, 3. Make sure you do the little hook underneath. So this kanji means small, and small as complete vocab is chisai. And this kanji is only the chi part of the vocab, and therefore we need okurigana sa, I to complete the vocabulary. Chisai, chisai. So next we'll look at the kanji for Japan. Now the kanji for Japan is derived of two more kanji. And those two kanji are sun and origin. Now Japan is known as the land of rising sun according to ancient Chinese. And therefore the country name in kanji is written using the word sun and origin. In English you often say the origin of the sun. But in Japanese, you have to solve the word order. It is sun's origin. Now, the kanji for sun is quite simple. It is derived from a simple picture like this. Okay, the sun with a bit of a sunspot. And because kanji is very hard to write or carve into printing press, so therefore they decided to change all the round lines into square lines. Therefore, sun in kanji is written with 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's it. Sun. Now the word for origin is a little bit tricky. You have to start with firstly the word tree. Now the kanji for tree comes from the idea of a plant growing like that. So this is a very vague drawing of a tree. Okay, the branch is going up and down. And from this picture, we derive the actual kanji for tree. 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. But be very careful. This is tree, not origin. To indicate origin, we have to start with the tree. And when you think about origin, it is the root or the source of something. So the root of the tree comes from here, where the ground is. So ancient Chinese simply drew a line across the tree to indicate this is the root or the origin of something. So from this picture, we derive the kanji for origin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there you have it. Sun and origin. Now by combining sun and origin together, we can make up the kanji for Japan. So the kanji for Japan will be written in red here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And this is Japan. So how do you pronounce that then? Well, simple. You simply have to learn that sun is pronounced ni, In origin is pronounced hon. So put the two together, Japan is ni hon. Nihon. Nihon. So are you ready to move on to the next two lots of kanji? Now we are looking at the kanji for teacher. We all know that teacher in Japanese is sensei. Sensei. However, sensei is not made up of one, but two kanji. So we have to look at the two kanji in these kanjis in two units, sen and se. Before we even move on, you first need to know what sensei literally means in its kanji units. Sen simply represents someone who is born before you. It means before or in advance. They are ahead of you in life, and usually because sensei are older and they are more in a position to impart knowledge to you. However, se on the other hand actually means life or growth. Okay, they are very similar concept. You'll find that kanji sometimes doesn't just have one definite meaning. It has a very vague meaning from which people can put words together and then make sense of the word. So now we know sensei means before and life. Okay, it is someone who is born before you, who is ahead of you in life, and who provides growth. Okay, in your development. Okay, now so let's look at the kanji that actually represent these two concepts. Now, firstly, let's start with life. Now, the life comes from the idea of plants growing from the ground. So this is our ground, and a plant grows upwards with two lots of branches. Now, since we're talking about life, we can't have dead branches, can we? So they just symbolically have a leaf on that particular branch. And from this story, we derive the kanji for life and growth. And it is written like this. Please repeat or trace the word with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is pronounced as se. Okay, so now we're ready to move on to the word before and advance. And guess what? It actually has something to do with life and growth. If we know the word growth comes from the picture of the ground and a plant growing up, if it is a much older tree, usually you would think it has a lot more branches, a lot more leaves, but this time we're really talking about someone who's really, really old. So really, they're a little bit too old to have too many branches. So now we're down to one branch. They're not dead yet, so they still have a leaf. But instead, what sets them apart is the deep root system they have in the ground. So from this concept, we derive the kanji sen, which represents before or in advance. And this is how it's written. Trace with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so far you notice the similarity between the two kanji, except sen is one line less. But the next bit is the root. Okay, the root goes like this. Curve to the left. And the other one is straight down, goes square, about to the right, and then with a hook up. And together we have sensei. So in the future, when you see these two kanji put together, sensei, that means teacher. So we know how to write teacher. How about students? Let's look at the next slide. Now, student in Japanese is pronounced as gakusei. Repeat. Gakusei. Gakusei. And once again, it's made out of two kanji, gaku and sei. Now, previously in sensei, we've talked about sei already. And it just so happens that they share the same ending and the same kanji as well. So we know sei comes from the idea of something growing from the ground, two branches with a leaf here. So sei in kanji, please write with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what does sei mean again? That's right, it means life or growth. So why do students have anything to do with the word life or growth? Now, it basically means that the student has to learn to grow. Okay, that is what you do for your life. So therefore, gaku on its own means learning. It's about learning. So learning for the rest of your life, that doesn't sound so bleak, but learning so you can grow is probably a better definition. Now the kanji for to learn comes from this picture. Now, as a little child, you have a big head and a small body. You will go to school, and under the rooftop of the school, you get inspired. Now, when you get inspired or when you have very good ideas, guess what? Light bulbs start to lit up. So from this story, we derive the kanji for learning. Gaku. And this is how I write gaku. Trace with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So put the two together, the two kanji together, we have student, gakusei. Gakusei.